Welcome to the Bookworm Duo. Today, we review a book for kids. Let's get reading.
Sounds fun.
Okay, so we're going to be diving into The Lost Library by Rebecca Stead today.
Okay.
It's a really captivating story about a mysterious fire that happened to the old Martinville Library.
Oh, wow.
And what happens when this fifth grader named Evan discovers a little free library full of books that survive the blaze.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's full of twists and turns. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to have fun uncovering this one together.
I'm intrigued already. So this little free library, what makes it so special? What do we know about it?
Well, it's on the town green, and it's packed with these old, musty books.
Okay.
Some even have his dad's name on the due date slip.
Whoa, really?
Evan borrows a couple, but that's when things start to get a little strange.
How so?
His dad totally freaks out when he sees the books.
Oh, no.
And it turns out the library they've always known about actually burned down years ago.
Oh, wow.
And all the books in the little free library seem to have come from that old library.
Yeah. It's like a time capsule almost.
Yeah. Right. And get this. All the due dates are stamped for the same day, the day of the fire.
Huh. How did these books survive the fire? And why were they all returned on that specific day?
That's the big mystery. And those are the exact questions that Evan starts digging into.
Makes sense.
But there's another layer to this story.
Okay.
We also meet Al, the assistant librarian from the old Martinville Library.
Okay.
But here's the catch. She's a ghost.
A ghost. Whoa, this is getting interesting. So where's this ghost hanging out?
She's residing in the history house, adding this whole spooky element to this story.
Spooky and mysterious. I love it. So what's Al's story? Why is she still lingering around?
Well, through Al's memories, we learned about this special bond she had with a boy who always came to the library.
Oh,
They shared a deep love for books.
that's sweet.
Yeah, and it's kind of heartwarming to see that even as a ghost, her passion for reading lives on.
Makes you think about those special connections we form over books. But what about Evan's dad? We know his name was on some of the library cards. How does he fit into all of this?
Well, things take an interesting turn when Evan finds this old Polaroid picture tucked inside one of the books.
Okay.
It might be a photo of Martinville,
Okay.
and it kind of hints at a connection to H.G. Higgins, the author of the book he's reading.
I'm sensing a connection here.
You got it. And here's where Evan's suspicions start to form, because guess what?
What?
H.G. Higgins is also the only name on the due date cards for those books Evan borrowed.
Oh, so many coincidences. It makes sense that Evan might suspect H.G. Higgins had something to do with the fire. So what does Evan do with this newfound suspicion?
Well, driven by this theory, Evan and his friend Rafe, who's all about logic and data, decide to go to where the old library used to be.
Interesting.
It's all overgrown now, but guess who they find there?
Is it Mortimer? The cat?
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Mortimer's living among the ruins of the library he had to leave as a kitten.
Oh, wow. It's like he's trying to reclaim a part of his past.
Right. And while exploring, the boys find some old keys
Ooh.
that lead them to a forgotten treehouse.
Ooh, a treehouse.
And guess what? The treehouse has a connection to H.G. Higgins.
Wow, this is getting good. It's like peeling back layers of a mystery novel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And faced with all this evidence, Evan finally confronts his dad.
About the fire.
Yeah, about his possible involvement in the library fire.
That must have been an intense
It
conversation.
was a really tense moment.
I bet.
And finally, Evan's dad reveals a shocking truth.
What is it?
He admits that he is H.G. Higgins.
Hold on. Evan's dad is the famous author. What a twist. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Wow, so Evan's dad is this famous author, but
Yeah.
that still doesn't tell us who started the fire.
No, it doesn't. And Evan's dad actually confesses to being in the library basement the night of the fire. Remember, he was the intern back then.
Right.
But he swears he didn't start it.
I believe him. But what about that matchstick the article mentioned? The one that was found near a burned book?
Yeah, that was the thing that made everyone think it was arson.
Right. So if Evan's dad didn't do it, who did?
It is a mystery. And what about Al? Where did we leave off with her?
Well, we left her with the other ghosts in the history house, and she finally confronts Mrs. Scoggin, the head librarian, who also became a ghost, remember?
Yeah.
About why Mr. Brock, another ghost, was at the library after closing the night of the fire.
Oh, what was he doing there?
Turns out they had a date.
A date. Oh, that's kind of sweet.
Right. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
While thinking about that night, Al has this realization. She's not actually a ghost.
Wait, what? I thought she was a ghost this whole time.
We all did. But it turns out she had passed out in the basement from smoke inhalation
Oh, wow.
after pushing the book cart. with Mortimer the kitten on top, to safety. Remember how he was found safe and sound?
Yeah, yeah. So that's how he in the book survived.
Exactly. And it was actually Evan's dad who, in a heroic act, dragged Al out of that burning basement.
He saved her life.
He did. He's a hero. But the trauma of that night kind of scrambled her memories, and she just believed she was a ghost all this time.
That's understandable. I mean, trauma can really mess with your mind.
Definitely. So even though she knows she's not a ghost, she still feels connected to Miss Scoggin and Mr. Brock.
Right.
So she decides to stay with them in the history house.
Okay.
But get this. Her realization seems to trigger something in the other ghosts.
Oh, like what?
They start, hovering more, dropping things like they're getting ready to move on.
It's like Al accepting her own reality helped them accept theirs.
Right. And then there's this incredible scene where Mr. Brock ascends right through the ceiling.
Through the ceiling? What?
I know. With Miss Scoggin clinging to his ankle.
Oh my gosh. That's both hilarious and heartwarming.
It is. They're finally letting go of the past and embracing what comes next.
That's beautiful.
And meanwhile, remember Mortimer, guarding the little free library. Well, he has a breakthrough of his own.
Really?
He runs into a group of mice, including Finn,
Hmm.
who are celebrating their graduation.
They're what?
It's like a graduation, but for mice.
Okay.
And get this, out of guilt and this desire to make amends, Mortimer does something really unexpected.
What's that?
He invites all the mice to live in the history house.
Wow. The six-toed grouch is opening up his home.
I know. He promises them safety, apples, cheese, even potatoes.
It seems like he's finally letting go of his past grudges and actually wants to share his home.
He is. And this is where things get really wild.
Okay.
Mortimer, still burdened by guilt over the fire, decides he has to confess to Evan and his dad.
Wait, is he saying he started the fire?
He does. He reveals that he and his sister, Petunia, as kittens, accidentally started the fire while chasing a mouse with a matchstick.
Oh my gosh, those playful little kittens were the culprits all along.
They were. It was an accident. But he's been carrying that guilt all these years.
I can't believe it. But how do they convince Evan and his dad about the real cause of the fire?
Well, this is hilarious. To explain everything, Mortimer stages a reenactment with the mice.
A reenactment.
Yes. Picture this.
Yeah.
9 mice running around the history house with matchsticks in their mouths while Mortimer supervises.
That is too funny.
Right. And then Al steps in, relaying Mortimer's confession to Evan and his dad,
Okay.
finally clearing Evan's dad's name and solving the mystery of the fire.
What a relief. Everyone can finally put this behind them.
Exactly. So with the truth revealed, Al, Muscoggin, and Mr. Brock can finally move on from their ghostly existence.
And what about Mortimer?
Mortimer, finally at peace, decides to leave the little free library and start a new journey.
It sounds like a new chapter starting for everyone.
It is. And speaking of new beginnings, the town of Martinville decides to rebuild their beloved library.
Oh, I love that. They're rebuilding. That's wonderful.
It is. And guess what? Al becomes the new librarian,
Oh.
with Rafe as her intern.
Oh, that's amazing. Their love for books lives on.
I know, right?
Mhm.
It's a reminder that even though people and places change, the love for stories and the bonds we create can last.
That's true.
But what about Mortimer? Did he ever find his sister Petunia?
Oh, yeah. What happened to her?
He did. She's working as a projectionist in a movie theater.
Ah, so they're reunited.
They are. Now, reunited, the two siblings can enjoy their shared love for stories, even if it's on the big screen now.
I love that ending for them. So cute.
And the book ends with Evan starting middle school and seeing the new library being built.
Ah, that's such a hopeful ending.
It is. It's a hopeful ending that celebrates the power of books, community, and new beginnings.
It really is. It's like a reminder that even after loss, there's always hope for the future.
Wow, we've uncovered so much in the Lost Library.
I know, right? A mysterious fire, a ghost library, a book-loving cat.
And even a secret author in the family.
It's amazing how Rebecca Stead brings it all together.
She does.
Yeah.
It's not just a mystery, though. It's about life, loss, and how stories connect us all.
Definitely. Speaking of connections, what about Evan and his dad? Now that the secret's out, how does that change things?
Well, their relationship takes on this whole new meaning. It's a lot for Evan to process, finding out his dad is this famous author, H.G. Higgins.
Yeah, I can imagine. It makes you think about expectations and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like Evan has to figure out who his dad really is. The quiet, mouse-loving guy or this big-time writer.
And it's not just the fame, he's relieved his dad's name is cleared, But he's also dealing with the fact that his dad kept this huge secret for so long.
Yeah, secrets can be tough, especially in families. It shows how important communication and trust are.
For sure. And what about Al? She's accepted her reality, the ghosts have moved on, so what happens to her?
Well, she doesn't just disappear. She becomes the librarian of the new Martinville Library.
Oh, wow, that's perfect.
Yeah,
It's like everything comes full circle.
right. And Rafe, her data-loving friend, is there too, as her intern. Ah, that's so sweet. It reminds me of how important mentors can be. Even when Al thought she was a ghost, she was encouraging Rafe's love for books, and now they get to share that with everyone.
Yeah, it shows that even though people and places change, our love for stories can stay strong.
Absolutely. So looking back at the Lost Library, what are some of the key things we've learned?
For me, it's about acceptance. Al accepting who she is, Evan accepting his dad's secret, Mortimer coming to terms with his past, and the town accepting the loss of their library, but also looking forward to a new one. It's about moving forward.
That's a great point. It's also about finding your place. Al becomes a librarian, Evan might become a writer like his dad, Mortimer finds his own thing with movies. We all have a purpose, right?
Exactly. And maybe the biggest takeaway is the power of books. They take us to different worlds, teach us stuff, connect us. You see that throughout the story with Mortimer, Evan, the whole town.
Yeah, it shows how magical books really are.
The Lost Library really proves that.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Our deep dive into the Lost Library.
It's been a great journey. We hope you enjoyed it.
Definitely. And don't forget to check out your local little free libraries. You never know what you'll find.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe to our channel for more bookish adventures. And hit that like button if you enjoyed this one. We'll see you on our next book review episode.